The first time I stepped into that house, the door closed behind me on its own, and I swear to God, I never heard it latch. It was supposed to be a favor. That's what I kept telling myself the whole way there. My buddy Scott had just bought this busted old foreclosure 2 towns over. Said he got it cheap, real cheap, and planned to renovate it over the next few months. Gonna flip it, he told me, like he was already on HGTV. But he worked full-time and couldn't get out there until the weekend. The problem was, he had a window guy showing up Thursday morning. Just needed someone to unlock the place and hang around until the guy was done measuring or whatever. So I said yes. I owed him one anyway. I figured it'd be easy, open the house, let the guy do his thing, drink some coffee, go home. I didn't expect it to feel the way it did. This place sat at the very end of a gravel road lined with half-collapsed barns and overgrown hedges. The nearest neighbors were at least 100 yards off. When I pulled up that morning, I sat in my car longer than I should have, just staring at the place. It looked like it had been forgotten by time. 2 stories. Vinyl siding half peeled off, one shutter hanging crooked like a lazy eyelid. Front porch sagging in the middle, wood grayed and splintered like old bones. The kind of house where you just know there's mold somewhere deep in the walls. I had the key. Scott texted me the combo for the lockbox, and I let myself in. And that's when the door did it. It swung shut behind me, not hard, not with a bang, but gently. Like someone was guiding it. I turned around immediately and twisted the knob. Unlocked. Nothing holding it shut. But still, it hadn't felt right. The air inside was damp, musty. Like rot had soaked into the drywall. The living room had warped floorboards and some kind of dark stain in the corner I didn't want to get close to. Most of the furniture was gone, but there was a couch, sunken in, covered with an old sheet. The only other thing in the room was a standing lamp with no bulb. I found the kitchen, sat on the counter, and waited for the window guy. Only, he never showed. At first I figured he was late. Then I checked my phone, no signal. Not bad signal. None. I stepped out onto the porch to call Scott, but the moment I did, the bars popped back up. Weird. Like the house itself was swallowing the signal. I dialed. Voicemail. I should have left right then. Should have locked up and driven off. But I told myself I'd wait 30 more minutes, just in case. To kill time, I decided to poke around. Bad idea. Most of the rooms upstairs were empty. Carpet peeled back, dust in the corners. In what must have been the master bedroom, someone had drawn something in chalk on the floor. A big circle. I told myself it was just some teenage squatters messing around. Then I found the basement door. Closed. Heavy. With a deep gouge in the pane near the knob, like someone had tried to force it open. I put my hand on the handle. It was cold. Then I heard it, faint, but unmistakable. Something moved behind the door. A shuffle. A footstep. Like someone was standing just on the other side. I whispered, "Hello?" No answer. And that's when the door clicked. Not open. Locked. From the inside. And the worst part? I don't remember it being locked before. I stepped back, heartbeat pounding so loud it muffled everything else. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. Like it had swallowed the sound whole. I wasn't about to play hero. I wasn't about to knock again. I backed away from the basement door slow, like it might decide to swing open if I turned my back on it. I made it to the front room, just barely, and froze. The couch was uncovered. That sheet I saw earlier? It was crumpled on the floor now, like someone had ripped it off in a hurry. But I hadn't heard a sound. No creaking, no movement. Nothing. I tried to laugh it off, told myself maybe the breeze from the door earlier had unsettled it. But deep down, I knew that wasn't it. The door hadn't opened since I arrived. Nothing should have moved. And then I saw it. A boot print. Muddy. Right in the middle of the living room. Too big to be mine. Still wet. I bolted for the front door. The knob wouldn't turn. I jiggled it harder, no luck. Deadbolt. That damn deadbolt. I hadn't even thought to check it after the door closed behind me. I unlocked it fast and yanked. The door opened. I didn't wait. I stepped out onto the porch, sucked in a breath of fresh air like I'd been underwater. My hands were trembling. I stood there for a minute, watching the road, trying to make sense of everything. No sign of the window guy. No movement anywhere. Just my car and the wind. I should have left. Every instinct was screaming to go. But something kept me there. Maybe pride, maybe stupidity. I told myself I'd check one more thing. One last sweep to prove I wasn't losing it. The back of the house had a small mudroom that led out to the overgrown yard. I hadn't looked back there yet. I circled around the side, passing broken windows and a rusted grill half buried in weeds. The mudroom door had a single dusty window. I peered in, and stopped cold. There was someone inside. Not moving. Just standing. A man. Back turned to me. Thin, hunched, wearing a long coat like he just wandered in from the woods. He wasn't there 5 minutes ago. I stepped back. Then he moved, just slightly. Shifted his head toward the side, like he'd heard me. But he didn't turn all the way. Just enough to let me know he knew I was there. And the worst part? His hand was on the inside of the basement door. I didn't even think. I ran. Straight to my car, keys already in hand, door yanked open so hard I nearly ripped it off the hinge. I jumped in, started the engine, floored it. Gravel sprayed behind me as I tore down that road. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. Couldn't. When I finally got signal again, I called Scott. Told him everything. He just laughed, thought I was messing with him. But he must have believed at least part of it. Because when he finally visited the place that weekend, he found the basement door open. And the back mudroom? There was no one inside. But the floor was covered in boot prints. And a single word was scrawled into the drywall, deep and rough, like it was carved with a key. Stay. I only broke into the house because I was sure it was empty. I didn't know someone was still living there, until I saw their reflection behind mine in the bathroom mirror. I was 16, and it was the dumbest decision I've ever made. I'll admit that right up front. There was this old house 3 blocks from my school, one of those sagging 2-stories with the porch half caved in and windows boarded up from the inside. Everyone said it was abandoned. Hell, the city had stuck a big red unsafe notice on the front door. No trespassing. Condemned. The works. But the rumors? That's what hooked me. They said a family used to live there, husband, wife, 3 kids. The dad snapped one night, took out the whole house. Left the bodies in the attic. Then vanished. No one ever found him. It was probably just small-town drama, like the kind bored teenagers cling to. Still, it stuck with me. So when my friend Devin dared me to go inside, I said yes before I thought too hard about it. We planned it out on a Friday afternoon. Waited until it got dark, then biked over with flashlights and hoodies. We parked behind the elementary school and slipped through a hole in the fence. I went alone. That was part of the dare. Devin waited outside like the chicken he was, said he'd keep watch for cops or anyone who might care what 2 dumb teenagers were up to. The back door was easy, pried open just enough to slide through sideways. I stepped into a small laundry room and immediately regretted everything. It stank. Mold, wet wood, and something sour, like old milk. My flashlight caught motes of dust thick in the air. The floorboards creaked under my sneakers with every step. I tried to act cool. Talked out loud to myself just to break the silence. Okay. I'm inside. Doing the thing. Ghost Dad's gonna murder me. Yay. Nothing answered. I stepped into the kitchen. Empty counters, rusted sink, a single drawer half open like someone had left in a hurry. The fridge was still there, yellowed with age, doors hanging open. No food. Just cobwebs. I moved on. Living room. Dining room. Same story, decay, dust, nothing human. Every window was covered. The whole house felt wrapped in darkness, like it didn't want to be seen. Then I found the stairs. I remember thinking they looked wrong. Too steep. Too narrow. Like they'd been built for a different kind of house. But I climbed anyway. One step at a time, flashlight shaking just a little more with each creak beneath me. The second floor was a hallway. 4 doors. 2 open, 2 closed. I checked the open ones first. Empty bedrooms. Torn wallpaper. A broken doll on the floor of one, face down in a pile of insulation. Then I reached the bathroom. Doors shut. I turned the knob. It clicked open. The bathroom was surprisingly intact. Mirror still hanging. Bathtub stained but whole. A toothbrush sat in a cracked ceramic cup by the sink. I walked in. Stepped toward the mirror. And that's when I saw it. A shape behind me. Tall. Still. Just out of frame. I spun around fast, heart slamming, but the hallway was empty. I turned back to the mirror. Nothing there now. I was shaking. I stepped out fast, back into the hallway, and froze. One of the bedroom doors I hadn't opened. It was wide open now. I know. I didn't touch a dot. I should have left right then. Should have run back down the stairs and out the door, Devon be damned. But I didn't. Because curiosity's a bitch, and fear sometimes makes you freeze instead of flee. So I crept toward that open door. It led into what must have been the master bedroom. The air in there felt stale. Stagnant, like it hadn't moved in years. My flashlight flickered, dead batteries maybe, or maybe just nerves making me shake too hard to keep it steady. There wasn't much to see. A mattress on the floor. No bed frame. The closet door hung open, empty except for a wire hanger swaying back and forth like someone had just walked past it. On the far wall, something was written in marker. Big letters, sloppy and uneven. "He's still here." I swallowed hard. My mouth had gone dry. I don't remember deciding to turn around, but I did. I backed out, one slow step at a time, until I was back in the hallway. I turned toward the stairs, ready to run. But the attic door was open now. It was a pull-down ladder type. One of those square hatches in the ceiling with a rope dangling down. And I swear, on the way in, it had been shut tight. I stood there, staring at it. Then I heard it, barely audible. A footstep. From above. Not loud. Not heavy. Just deliberate. I whispered, "Hello?" before I could stop myself. No answer. Then another creak, closer to the opening this time. Like someone shifting their weight. I backed up, nearly tripping over a floorboard, and turned to bolt down the stairs. And stopped. The hallway behind me wasn't empty anymore. At the far end, just outside the bathroom door, stood a woman. She looked like she belonged in the house. Pale skin. Nightgown. Bare feet. Her hair was matted to one side, and her eyes locked onto mine like she'd been waiting. But it wasn't her that terrified me the most. It was the 3 small figures that stepped silently out of the open bedroom beside her. Kids. Just standing there. Not speaking. Not blinking. Just staring. My brain refused to believe it. My legs refused to move. Then, at the same time, they started walking toward me. Not running. Walking. Silent. Steady. I snapped out of it, turned, and ran down the stairs so fast I almost broke my neck. I hit the first floor, slammed into the wall by the kitchen, and scrambled for the back door. I didn't look back. Didn't want to see who, or what, might be behind me. I burst out into the night, and nearly collapsed on the lawn. Devon jumped when he saw me. "Dude! What the hell happened? You were in there for..." "Go," I panted. "Just go." We didn't talk much on the ride back. I think Devon knew from the look on my face not to press it. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep much for the next week. But the part that really got under my skin. 3 days later, Devon texted me a link. An article. Squatter family found living in condemned home, 5 taken into custody. The picture showed the house. And being led out in handcuffs were 5 people. A man, a woman, and 3 kids. No birth records. No school enrollment. No public record at all. No one knew where they came from. No one knew how long they'd been inside. But I did. Because one of them, the youngest girl, was still holding the broken doll I'd seen in the bedroom. And when the news crew caught a shot of her face, she was smiling. Like she knew me. It started with a smell, rotten, sweet, and cloying, and ended with me tearing through drywall in a house I didn't even own. I wasn't supposed to be there for more than a week. 2 tops. My cousin Dylan had inherited the place from his grandmother, a 1-story brick ranch in the middle of nowhere, Virginia. She'd passed 6 months earlier, and the house had been sitting empty ever since. Dylan didn't want to deal with it. Said he'd pay me to drive down, stay there, and help coordinate a clean-out crew before the place went on the market. I was broke and tired of my roommate's music taste, so I said yes. The first day was fine. The keys were under a fake rock by the porch. The house itself was exactly what I expected: yellowing wallpaper, dusty furniture, that musty air you get when no one's opened a window in half a year. But it wasn't until the second night that the smell hit me. It wasn't constant. It came in waves, like it was drifting through the air in pockets. I first noticed it near the hallway that led to the back bedrooms, just a faint sourness, like something had gone bad in the vents. I chalked it up to old food or a dead mouse and figured I'd track it down the next morning. That night, though, I couldn't sleep. The smell got worse, thicker, meatier. Like rotten fruit left in a hot car. It coated the inside of my nose and settled in the back of my throat. I got up around 2 a.m. to investigate, walking barefoot through that creaking house with a flashlight and an old rag over my nose. I checked the trash cans, empty. I opened every cabinet. Nothing. The fridge had long been cleaned out. Not even a jar of mustard. That left the vents. I climbed up on a chair and removed one of the covers in the hallway. Peered in with the light. Dust, dead bugs, nothing out of the ordinary. Then I heard it. Scratching. Just faint. Right inside the wall. Not scurrying, not quick, slow, deliberate, like someone dragging their nails across the inside of a coffin. I froze, rag dropping from my hand. The sound stopped instantly. Not faded. Stopped. I backed away. I didn't sleep at all that night. I sat up in the living room, lights on, waiting for morning to save me. By daylight, the house felt normal again. Quiet. Almost peaceful. So I convinced myself it was a squirrel. Or raccoons in the crawlspace. But the smell didn't go away. And neither did the scratching. The next night, it came back louder. It moved. I'd hear it in the hallway 1 minute, then by the kitchen the next, like something was crawling through the walls. I left voicemails for Dylan. He didn't call back. I told myself I could last one more night. That was a mistake. Because night 3? The scratching stopped. And knocking started. At first, I thought I was imagining it. But there it was, knock, 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 from inside the wall right behind the bedroom closet. 3 slow taps. Then silence. I stared at the wall for a full minute, not breathing. Then it happened again. Knock. 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 Same rhythm. Same spot. Something, or someone, was tapping from inside the goddamn drywall. I backed out of the room, heart hammering, and slammed the door shut. I grabbed my phone and called Dylan for the 3rd time that day. Straight to voicemail. "Call me back," I whispered. "Something's wrong with this house." I didn't wait for morning this time. I grabbed a hammer from the garage. I know how that sounds. I wasn't thinking clearly. My brain was on fire with exhaustion, fear, and the overwhelming wrongness of that sound. I told myself I'd just tap a little hole, peek in, and patch it up later. The drywall cracked easier than I expected. A few swings and it caved in, dust puffing out like smoke. I shined my flashlight into the space behind it. At first, nothing. Just a narrow, dirty gap between walls. Then I noticed something wedged between the studs. A plastic bag. I reached in, heart thudding, and pulled it out. Inside were what looked like photos. Dozens. Old Polaroids. I flipped through them with shaking hands. All of them were pictures of people. Most were asleep. Some were in bathtubs, beds, even sitting on toilets. All of them were taken from behind, or at strange angles, clearly without the subject knowing. And then I found one that made my knees buckle. It was me. Asleep on the couch. From 2 nights ago. Same blanket. Same position. Same cracked phone screen lying on my chest. The photo had a timestamp scratched into the bottom with pen. 2:41 a.m. I dropped the bag. Scrambled backwards so fast I smacked into the closet door. Then I heard it again. Knock. 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 But this time, it came from the living room wall. I turned. Eyes wide. Frozen. The knocking moved again, closer. Kitchen. Then hallway. Then behind the wall just beside me. Whoever it was, they were inside the walls and they were following me. I bolted. No shoes, no bag, no nothing. I ran out the front door and didn't stop until I got to the gas station 3 miles down the road. I called 911. I told them there was someone in the walls of that house and that I had proof. The cops searched the place. They didn't find a person. But they found dozens of similar photo bags stashed throughout the walls. Some dated back decades. Some weren't even developed. And in the attic? They found a crawlspace with a mattress, a jar of what looked like old food, and a hole drilled directly above the hallway vent. No one knows who lived up there. No utilities. No name on file. No trace. Dylan sold the house as is a month later. Last I heard, no one's bought it since. But sometimes I wonder, who took that picture of me? And how many more are hidden in walls that haven't been opened yet? I was 5 minutes into photographing the house when I realized every cabinet had been nailed shut, from the inside. I do real estate photography. Not the glamorous kind with ocean views or marble countertops. Mostly the low-end foreclosures banks are trying to dump fast. Rundown duplexes, moldy apartments, places that smell like sadness and old carpet. This one was supposed to be routine. A last-minute assignment sent to my inbox late Friday night. Single family, rural, empty. Cash-only fixer-upper. The address put it way out near a dead-end road outside of Knoxville. I didn't even see another house for a solid mile leading up to it. No mailbox, just numbers spray-painted on the curb. The place looked rough. Faded yellow paint, boarded-up windows, weeds waist-high. One of those houses that makes you wonder if someone died inside. I parked out front, grabbed my camera bag, and headed in. The front door was already unlocked. The air inside hit me like a brick. Not just stale, suffocating. Like the house had been holding its breath for years. I stepped into the living room, taking wide shots first. Cracked drywall. Sagging floor. A broken ceiling fan hanging by 2 screws. I tried not to think about how much work it would take to make this place livable. The kitchen was next. That's when I noticed the cabinets. Every single one, upper and lower, had 2x4s nailed across them. Rough wood, hand-cut, nailed from the inside of the doors, so they couldn't be opened without ripping them off the hinges entirely. At first I thought maybe it was a pest thing. Or squatters. But it wasn't just the cabinets. The fridge, too. Someone had sealed the fridge shut with duct tape, zip ties, and more boards nailed around the frame like a coffin. I took a step back. Something was wrong here. Real wrong. I should have left. I knew that. But I'd already driven 2 hours. I figured I'd just finish the shots, send the files, and be done with it. So I kept going. The hallway was narrow and dark. No power. No windows. I used my camera's flash as a guide, taking pictures of each bedroom. One had bunk beds. The other had a mattress on the floor covered in plastic. Every closet was empty. Except one. The last bedroom door was shut. So was the closet inside it. I opened the closet slowly. Inside, at eye level, was a small metal latch, attached to the wall. It looked like it was meant to lock someone in. I backed out, heart starting to race. Something about that closet made my skin crawl. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. From upstairs. But the house didn't have a second floor. I froze. The steps were slow. Deliberate. One at a time, like someone pacing just above my head. The problem was, there was no above. The ceiling was flat. No attic access. No staircase. Nothing. I turned off my flash. Listened. The footsteps stopped. Then something scraped across the ceiling, SHRRRP, like wood dragging on wood. I didn't move. Didn't even breathe. That's when I noticed the vent. Near the top of the bedroom wall, maybe 10 inches across, slightly open. A draft rolled out of it, and I swear it was warmer than the rest of the house. Like someone was breathing through it. I backed out of the room and made my way toward the front door slowly, keeping my eyes up. Then a sound stopped me cold. A click. Sharp and metallic. The front door had just locked itself. I stood there staring at it. I hadn't touched the bolt. I hadn't even gotten close enough. Then, from the kitchen, I heard something creak. I turned. Raised my camera. The fridge door had come loose. That insane mess of duct tape and boards? Peeled away. Like it had been pushed from the inside. I whispered, "Nope," and ran to the back of the house. There was a mudroom. Hadn't noticed it on the way in. The door was warped but not locked. I threw my shoulder into it and forced it open. Outside. Finally. I stumbled into the overgrown backyard, chest heaving. And that's when I saw the hatch. A square metal door, half buried in the dirt, behind the house. I walked toward it like I didn't have a choice. Like something was pulling me. It was the only thing in the yard that looked recently disturbed, grass trampled, soil fresh. The handle had prints in the dust. Small ones? Like a child's. I opened it. A ladder disappeared into the dark. Brick walls. A crawl space maybe, or something deeper. I stuck my head down, just for a second. And I heard breathing. Close. Wet. Desperate. That was enough. I sprinted to my car, barely remembering to grab my bag. The front door of the house? Still shut. Still locked. But a single cabinet inside the kitchen window had swung open. Just one. Like something had changed its mind. I drove straight back to Knoxville, emailed the client, and said the shoot was done. I didn't tell them what I saw. I didn't want to follow up. I didn't even want to be paid. But here's the thing that still keeps me up. A few days later, I saw the house listed online. Photos were up. Not mine. But in the shot of the living room, dead center, was the ceiling fan. And hanging from the base of it was a rope. Knotted. And swinging ever so slightly. When I opened the trapdoor beneath the laundry machine, I expected dirt. Maybe rats. I didn't expect a second door, bolted shut from my side. The house belonged to my late uncle. Nobody really talked about him growing up. My mom always changed the subject when his name came up. Said he wasn't right after the accident. Whatever that meant. He lived in that house for nearly 30 years. Alone. No pets. No visitors. No one in town really remembered him, except to say he liked his privacy. His obituary was 3 lines long. After he passed, the estate lawyer called me. Turns out I was the closest next of kin. He left me the house. Just like that. It took me 3 weeks to even drive out there. Small town, middle of nowhere, population maybe 200. The kind of place with more rust than people. I didn't plan to keep the house. I just wanted to take inventory, see if anything was worth salvaging, then sell it off. The place was a time capsule. Brown shag carpet, wood-paneled walls, everything smelled like dust and stale pipe smoke. But it was tidy. Organized in that compulsive way lonely people sometimes keep things. dishes stacked perfectly. Every book alphabetized. Not a speck of clutter. Then I reached the laundry room. It was tucked in the back of the house, no windows, one flickering overhead light that buzzed constantly. The washing machine was ancient, top-loading, yellowed with age. It was also weirdly tilted. At first I thought it was just the sagging floor. But when I tried to move it, it slid easier than it should have. Like it had been moved before. Recently. That's when I saw it, a thin seam in the floorboards beneath it. Barely visible, but definitely there. I got down on my hands and knees. Wiped away dust. There it was, a trapdoor. Flush with the floor. No handle, just a recessed slot where you could hook your fingers and pull. I hesitated. Then I opened it. It creaked, loud, and let out a draft of air that smelled like old pennies and damp wood. A square hole, about 3 feet by 3, led down into a crawlspace. There was a wooden ladder nailed into the wall, steep and narrow. I grabbed a flashlight, muttered, "Why do I always do this stupid shit?" to no one in particular, and climbed down. The crawlspace was tight. My shoulders almost touched both sides. Dust swirled in the beam of my light. Then I saw the door. Not a panel. Not a hatch. An actual wooden door, painted dark green, frames set into poured concrete, with a deadbolt and chain on my side. And carved into the surface, deep grooves done by hand, was a single word. Sorry. I stood there for a long time, just staring at that door. The word sorry wasn't just scratched in, it was gouged. Carved deep into the wood over and over, like whoever did it couldn't stop. I reached for the bolt. Hesitated. Then unlatched it. The chain slid free with a sound that echoed in the tight space. I gripped the handle and pulled. The door didn't open. I pulled again, harder this time. Something on the other side scraped against the floor. Then, slowly, it gave way. Cold air rushed past me, dry and metallic. I stepped inside. The room was small. Bare concrete floor. No windows. Just a bulb hanging from a wire in the ceiling, still working somehow. I pulled the chain. The light flicked on. What I saw didn't make sense. The walls were covered in lists. Yellowing notebook paper tacked up side by side, edge to edge, filling the room like wallpaper. Each page numbered, dated, and written in the same handwriting, shaky, but precise. Most of the lists were titled things like names I heard through the floor, food they left me, things I forgot to forget. But one stood out. Bigger. Bolder. Taped to the center of the far wall. Do not let him out. Beneath it, scratched into the concrete, was a large X, chip deep, jagged. Like someone had spent hours digging into the floor with something sharp. I backed away. And that's when I heard it. A voice. Quiet. Calm. From behind the X. It whispered, "Please. I've been good." My skin turned to ice. I turned off the light, slammed the door shut, and threw the bolt back into place with trembling hands. Something pressed against the other side. Not violently. Just there. Waiting. I scrambled up the ladder, slammed the trapdoor, and shoved the washing machine back over it like it could somehow protect me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, lights on, TV blaring just to drown out every creak and bump. By morning, I'd made my decision. I left the house. Called a lawyer. Put it up for sale as is. Didn't go back, not even to pack. The new owners never contacted me. I don't know if they ever found the door, the lists, the voice. But sometimes, late at night, I think about that word carved into the door. Sorry. And I wonder, was it a warning? Or an apology from the last person who locked it? The first entry in the notebook just said, "I heard them breathing through the vents." The last one was signed with my name. It started when my girlfriend and I went on one of those weekend haunted house tours. You've probably seen the type: abandoned property, cheap tickets, Lots of local legends and dramatic flashlight guides trying to scare tourists with creaky floorboards and cursed furniture. I wasn't expecting much. But the last stop on the tour was real. No actors. No props. Just a cold, half-collapsed Victorian on the edge of town, where they let guests wander for 20 minutes at a time. Self-guided. No phones. No flashlights. Just a lantern, a waiver, and a lot of encouragement to write down anything unusual. In the visitor's notebook they kept on a little desk in the front hall. My girlfriend bailed. Said the place felt wrong. Waited outside with the car running. I went in alone. The first thing that hit me was the silence. Heavy. Pressing. Like the house was holding its breath. I took the lantern and walked room to room. Dusty furniture, broken piano, walls smeared with what might have been soot or mold or both. In the dining room, I found the notebook. It looked older than it should have been. Bound leather. Yellowed pages. The last 10 or so were blank, but farther back, I started reading. He's still upstairs. I heard the door close. There's someone under the table. I watched myself walk past the mirror. But I never turned. I kept flipping. The entries got more frantic. Don't go into the basement. The man in the wall watches through the cracks. They called me by my name and I never told them what it was. The handwriting changed constantly. Different people. Different pens. Same dread. I was about to close the book when I flipped to the very last page again. And saw it. An entry I hadn't written. He's reading this right now. He'll go to the stairs next. He'll hear the whisper halfway up. Then he'll go quiet. It was signed. My full name. I dropped the book. Backed away fast. My legs didn't feel like my own. I told myself it was a prank. Maybe someone from the group signed it earlier. Maybe I missed it. Then I heard it. From the stairs. A whisper. My name. I didn't move. The whisper came again, faint, but clear. Hey! Come up! It was my voice. Not someone sounding like me. Not a coincidence. My actual voice. I spun around with the lantern, lighting up the narrow staircase. The steps were warped, sagging with age. The top was swallowed in shadow. No one stood there. But the whisper didn't stop. It was like it echoed, not through the air, but inside my own head. You're already here. I stepped back toward the front door, stomach twisting. I reached for the knob, locked. I hadn't locked it. I jiggled it harder, almost panicking. Nothing. I didn't even remember it having a keyhole. I slammed my palm against the frame, yelled for someone to open up. No answer. The silence returned. Except, there was a new sound now. Scratching. From the dining room. I turned and saw the notebook lying open again on the table. Pages flipping. Not fast, slow. One by one. Like fingers were turning them. But no one was there. Then the cover slammed shut. I couldn't breathe. I ran back through the parlor, through the sitting room, looking for any exit. Every door I tried was stuck or locked. The windows? Boarded from the outside. I ended up back in the entry hall, where the lantern first hung. And that's when I noticed the mirror. Cracked. Filthy. But still showing me. Only, I wasn't moving. My reflection just stood there, smiling faintly. Tilting its head. Like it was watching me from the other side. Then it raised its hand and pointed. To the notebook behind me. I turned, slow, sick with dread, and walked back to the little table. The book was open again. A fresh page. Blank. Except for the first line. I shouldn't have read it. The pen was waiting beside it. Just sitting there. I didn't pick it up. Not yet. The front door creaked. Unlocked itself. Light spilled in. I didn't ask questions. I didn't look back. I just ran. My girlfriend saw my face and didn't say a word. We drove home in silence. I didn't even realize I'd taken the notebook with me until I unpacked the next day. But here's the thing. Every morning since, there's a new line in it. Written in my handwriting. I don't remember writing any of them. And the last page? It's already filled out. He told the story. Now someone else will read it. That's how it spreads.